now I want to show you in the last 5 minutes other nice features in 3D SymbolDesigner that make life easier to you. So create a new project. Another nice option in here is a so-called for loop. So I add this for loop by pushing this button up here. And that's like a programming for loop. So if you know a programming language, there's probably a for construct somewhere in this programming language. So in this case, we can go from 0 to 35, for example. And now we get 36 copies of whatever is in the geometry node over here. And I can easily place a cylinder in this for loop by just dragging and dropping the items from the main folder here into the for loop. So I get now 36 copies of the cylinder. Let's just resize it a little bit. So perhaps the diameter is 12 millimeters and the length is 100 millimeters. So it's looking like a bolt. Now I can go to the translation nodes and I open up the Y translation. I enter a sign of this for loop 1. So this is geometry dot for loop 1 times 10 degrees times, for example, 0.5 meters. Let's just copy this formula to the clipboard, and I reuse it for the Z translation, where I change the sign to the cosine. So I got now a circle of 36 bolts just with a for loop and a cylinder. So very easy to create complex geometries in 3D SymbolDesigner. And again, it's also easy to make this parametric. So let's just add one parameter here. I go to the properties where I can change the display to a number. So I want to enter the number of bolts. Then I enter 36 down here. And I use this parameter 1 for these formulas over here. So I can use a parameter 1 minus 1 in here. And then I go to my translation node where I use 360 degrees divided by parameter 1 and also go to the Z translation here. I reuse the formula again. I change the sign to the cosine. As you can see, nothing has changed. But now when I go to my parameter over here and, for example, I enter 6, I get a circle of 6 bolts. If it's 5, it's a circle of 5 bolts. Or I could also just use 70, then I get a circle of 70 bolts. I hope that you got a first impression of the workflow in here in 3D SymbolDesigner, because it's always the same workflow. I can make my formulas dependent on parameters, the formulas dependent on other formulas, and I can use for loops and other objects like unions, for example, to group and copy objects. So it's very easy to build up complex geometries. Plus, I can add a lot of ports and connectors like cable tray, conduit, piping, that's what we've seen in the tank example, foundation port, HVAC, hangers, and additional objects like datum points, for example, for equipment, or dummy operators for piping, where I can replace this dummy operator by any intergraph operator or operator that was built up using 3D SymbolDesigner. And of course, some additional objects like center of gravity, which is often used for hanger and support parts, or for example, control points.